So have you ever ended up at a toy aisle and ended up finding something that you just wanted to buy simply because you felt bad for it? Well, for me, that is the case for Knight/Cheetor here from Transformers Universe. Now, this is one that was coming out during the first wave of Universe's rebranding and kind of a refresh. It's Universe 1.0 still, but it had a brand new card art and new style to the repaints, and it was a really cool relaunch, and this was on clearance as soon as it came out in my area. It didn't go well. But for like $7 and no one still wanted it, I kind of like the look of this Cheetor, and it didn't turn out to be a bad purchase. Now, of course, this is the Beast Machines Deluxe Cheetor mold, and it's kind of a shocking thing that they make a Supreme class and a Mega class and still feel the need to end up with a Deluxe as well. Well, that one was originally black in coloring. Now it is done in the proper Cheetor color. Kinda. It's a gold plastic, but not a dangerous kind. There's no like swirling to it, just a little bit of a metallic sheen. Nothing dangerous. Speaking of nothing dangerous, since this is a Beast Machines toy, there is a liberal use of translucent plastic. It's especially prevalent here in the claws, as well as the ones on the rear. But they are not in any way a dangerous form of usage. There's no ball joint sockets or tight hinges made out of this stuff, so I find it to be generally safe. So in both cases, they avoided making this like the most self-destructing transformer of all time. The translucent plastic is also found in the head, where there's some nice silver airbrushing to give it some detail, and a little bit of extra paint there. It looks quite good. I actually quite like the head sculpt. Now the interesting thing is it is spring-loaded, so he has kind of a bite gimmick, but there's nothing to really trigger it. So it's just kind of like you can kind of puppet the head up and down a little bit. I don't know if it's from an aborted gimmick or what it's from, but it's weird. Detail-wise, aside from the paint on the head, you do have a little bit of gold paint there on the claws, again, on the back. But the detail that's most obvious is the circuitry spots. This is one of the coolest paint apps I've ever seen. I love this idea. This techno-organic cheetah with circuitry patterns for his cheetah spots. This is such a good idea. It's the kind of repaint I always wanted Universe to do. Give me something creative. Give me something unique and cool, and not something that looks like you melted a crayon on the toy, which is what a lot of those repaints ended up being. This is just awesome looking. I really dig those colors, and I really dig this spot treatment. This is such a good idea. It looks so much better than the original Night Slash version. I love it. So I'm quite happy with that toy. You can see some extra details. He got a tampographed Autobot logo on top of his Spark Crystal, which still is molded with a maximal sigil underneath. It's hard to make out, though. As far as gimmicks and playability in this mode, he is articulated quite a bit, since it's mostly just like one of those Beast Machines toys where you just stand him up to transform him. Ankles are ball jointed, everything is hinged up here, hips are ball jointed. You can even stretch these legs out fairly long if you want to get a different pose going. The arms are really finicky on this figure. They have a gimmick in them for gearing, and we'll see that in just a minute, actually. I'll go ahead and show it to you in this mode. But the gearing is looser than the ball joint, which means moving these shoulders around tends to get a little bit problematic when you're trying to get a pose going. It makes it really frustrating to move them. Everything else works, though. He's got elbows, he's got ball jointed wrists, so beast mode with plenty of articulation. The tail even goes up and down if you want it to. For a little bit more playability, he has thrusters in the back, which can adjust if you so choose, but the main action feature is the Spark Crystal button. Since this is a battle for the Spark figure from Beast Machines, the gimmick revolves around pushing the Spark Crystal, which for this Cheetor creates a clawing motion. Of course, with his head straight up, he kind of looks like a cat who's desperate to get in from the rain. Let me in, I'm hungry! It's a weird little... He needs his head to go down for that. I don't like a little bit. A little bit. Does that work any better? It has a little. It could go down a little bit. That no, not really. He still really wants some kind of food, and it gets a little stuck if the ball joints happen to shift in the process. But it's not a bad beast mode. It's not a whole lot different from the robot mode, which you're about to find out. So let's go ahead and start transforming him by flipping the tail up as high as it will go, and we will straighten out the legs. The legs do have a slide in them, which is like frightening tight on this figure. Look at that, man, that's so tight. I'm genuinely scared of breaking this thing on camera, which I've told you, cause for scrapping the review. Hang on. I'm sorry, I had to apply the Taipei death grip in order to actually get that out. Alright, so we'll flip these up. These are heel spurs and or robot mode feet. The instructions tell you to rotate these around and make them the feet, which makes them very pointy elf shoe looking things, but we'll just go with the official for now. We'll straighten the arms down as much as we can. Rotate the hands around. Move thumbs into position so these look like hands as opposed to paws. Here comes the really weird part of this toy. This is like one of the funkiest transformations schemes I've ever seen. We're going to pop the back off, hinge down, and then we'll also pop off the front. Now, to get this toy from beast head to robot mode head, we're going to slide this thing back on rails. And then the same head trick rotates up the robot mode head. And then the beast head continues its path downward. And it can go all the way forward. Well, no, actually, never mind. It can't go all the way forward. But that is such a weird, like, way of transforming him, which I know is to maintain the gimmick and all that. But, oh, that's such an odd thing. Like, I've never seen a head transformation do that before or after this. It's weird. But, yeah. There, in all of his tallness, is Cheetor in his fully transformed robot mode, looking slender and sleek as Beast Machines Cheetor tended to do. And he is a tall drink of water, as exampled by this tall drink of soda. He's pretty good for your standard deluxe of the time. You know, like, you got some actual size for your money out of this thing. The toy itself, not bad. Okay, so yes, it does contain almost all the same detailing because we basically did just stand him upright. The new detailing comes in the chest, which we could have seen in Beast Mode 2, but we chose not to. There's some metallic blue on here to give it a little bit more of a mechanical vibe in this mode. I really like the molding in the chest. There's a lot of circuitry detail molded on the inside, which gives it a nice layered look. It's really cool. It's a really neat little trick. And then you have the head, which is Beast Machines Cheetor pretty much to a T. They even put in some cheetah freckles, which kind of de-ages him a little bit. I thought the whole point was he was growing up, and he's still got freckles. And big eyebrows. Big bushy eyebrows. That's how you know he's an adult now. It's not bad, though. You know, as Beast Machines Cheetors go, you know, he could have done much worse. I don't know. I kind of like it. It works well enough. Now, as you saw in in the Beast mode, he does have a gimmick to him that takes up his entire torso. He also has gimmicks that take up his arms, because, you know, the whole gearing, slashing motion, that's not enough. As you can see, in his shoulders, he has his swords, which are done in this weird kind of, I don't want to call it gunmetal because it's a little bit too spotty for that. It's almost a granite look, which is kind of strange. But no, he has his swords built in, which the whole point of this toy was to be able to hit the button, and they flip straight into his hands. Which I will admit, is kind of a neat trick. Like, okay, I will give you that. That's kind of works. So you get him in attack mode now, which now means that slashing action is now applied from Beast Claws to the robot mode, which You have to get it just right, and you can't get the legs in the way. And hope the Viacon just kind of wanders into whatever this is. Yes. You gotta get the feeling like if you like hold his head, he'd be like a Looney Tunes character. I can't quite reach. You'd be so dead if my arms were an inch longer. It's a fun little gimmick, though. Like, I like that they alternate. I like that it's not just like the same old gimmick that the Mega had, and we've discussed that toy, and we'll not mention that gimmick ever again. Yeah. But this figure is admittedly nice. I really dig the upgraded paint job. It is such a better deco than the original. It's a really good example of just how much the decorations can make or break the toy. You know, the original just I don't know, it's hard to call it a Night Slash Cheetor when he's black with bright yellow spots all over him. It doesn't really strike me as stealthy. Likewise, I'm not quite sure why this one's Night Slash either, because he's not hiding in the dark any better. In fact, far worse.